talk about Trump and Cuba. This story, it's moving very quickly and a lot has happened. But for decades, you guys, we have watched the American left romanticize Cuba like it's some kind of socialist paradise with palm trees. Like the way they talk about it, the reason why a lot of people didn't really understand the gravity of what was going over there, because leftists celebrate socialism and communism like it's a good thing. But meanwhile, the people that actually have to live there and are dealing with the repression and the scarcity, and now, if you haven't heard, there's a full-blown electrical collapse. Country is just in the dark. And then that happens, and Donald Trump, he kind of steps to the microphone and he basically says, I may have the honor of taking Cuba. And of course, every time Trump says something, y'all know he's provocative and he says stuff for a reason. He's trying to get a reaction, and the leftist media buys into it. But now all of a sudden, the same people who claim to care about the oppressed are clutching their pearls at the thought of Donald Trump actually taking Cuba. And they're not clutching their pearls because communism has failed and that the Cuban people are suffering. They don't even give a darn that the island is literally in the dark. They're just mad because Trump said it. So of course they're going to say, he's being a dictator and he's just trying to conquer the world, which, he's not a dictator. He's really not, but he is trying to dominate. Like, we are trying to dominate because we're America. Like, I don't understand why these people don't get it. Why don't they understand who we are? Okay? But that's the tell. The modern left, for them, tyranny is acceptable and the orange man is always bad, even when he is out here freeing an entire population of oppressed people from tyranny. So I want to talk about what's really happening as it relates to Cuba, because the story of what Trump said, it's more than just being about Cuba. Every time I cover something, I want to frame it around a broader issue. And the broader issue is that there is moral confusion that's happening here in the American left. And we've got the failure of communism. It's like apparent. But we have the fact that some people hate Trump more than they actually hate the dictatorship and the communism that Cuba has been under for decades. So let's take a look at this clip.
2 months after a dramatic operation to seize the now former leader of Venezuela, President Trump now has his sights set on Cuba. The president said Monday he could, quote, take the island amid an ongoing energy crisis, which has been exacerbated by the U.S. threatening tariffs on any country that sells or provides oil to Cuba. Yesterday, he suggested plans were already in motion.
Cuba right now is in very bad shape. They're talking to Marco, and we'll be doing something with Cuba very soon.
CBS News national correspondent Lilia Luciano joins us now. So the Cuban president said he would respond to any aggression from the U.S. with, quote, impregnable resistance. And you spoke with a democracy activist. I had to Google impregnable. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, I Googled it in Spanish and English. Don't feel bad.
Right. Impregnable? What is it?
I'm not even going to try.
Okay, all right. What did the activist you spoke with tell you?
Look, I talked to Rosa Maria Paya earlier today. She is the daughter of Osvaldo Paya, who was, according to human rights investigations, killed by the regime. She has been persecuted, prosecuted herself. She cannot go back to Cuba right now, but she continues her advocacy, founding an organization called Cuba Decide. Her advocacy is all about democracy in Cuba, and this is a mission that she has never stopped working towards.
Now, isn't it funny? I thought Democrats love democracy, right? I thought they, always talk about democracy. He's a threat to our democracy. And we have Trump actually wanting to liberate and bring order and capitalism back to this beautiful island that's been destroyed by communism. And now they're facing an energy crisis.
Here's what else President Trump had to say about Cuba.
I can tell you that they're talking to us. It's a failed nation. They have no money, they have no oil, they have no nothing. They have nice land. They have nice landscape, you know. It's a beautiful island. I think they have great people. I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba.
Thank you.
That'd be good. That's a big honor.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free.
Trump is like, what? Did I stutter? Taking Cuba? Like, what you mean? Trump, the way he communicates, I always have a way of saying, I've always said Trump was a sloppy communicator, but I don't think that's what it is. He's not sloppy. He's just so darn direct that you're expecting him to have a little more finesse when he communicates, but he like, no, I said take it. Like, what part of take, acquire, possess do you not understand? I'm gonna let him finish, but just I'm watching his mannerisms, the way he's engaging with this reporter, and it's just funny to me because they're like they're like confused, and he's just like, Negro, did I stutter? I said take.
Take it. I think I can do anything I want with it.
Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis is a Republican from New York and joins me now. Ma'am, you're the daughter of a Cuban refugee. What does taking Cuba, as the president says, what does it look like?
Well, this is something that the Cuban Americans have been waiting for 67 years. I think that you have two options here. It could become a territory like Puerto Rico, or we can help transform it into a free island nation. I think there's mixed feelings about that from the Cuban community, but at the end of the day, what they really want is just for this communist regime that destroyed their lives, stole their businesses, stole their homes, to be gone. And until that happens, we're not going to see real change in Cuba. I know that there were reports of allowing investment to come to the island. That's simply just not going to happen. And anyone who would invest in the island under the current conditions, with a rigged legal system, with a communist regime, would be foolish. This is a regime that, for example, stole my grandfather's small business, his gas station, stole his home. And why would anyone invest there if they don't see a change in government? And so hopefully...
Listen, New York is going to be like a little mini Havana. They keep messing around with Zoran Mondani. Okay? Y'all don't understand the way communism works. When you cry and say you want all this free stuff, the communist is like, okay, you want free stuff. Well, this is what free looks like for you. We got to take your business. If we can't have it, nobody can. This woman just said they took her father's gas station. Communism doesn't believe in private property ownership. They will just seize it. We have already heard vestiges of this type of worldview from Zoran Mamdani as it relates to property taxes. He was just saying, we'll just take the property. They'll just take it. Can you imagine somebody just be like, this is ours now, and just take it? And I see some people in the chat saying, I really don't think we should take Cuba. First of all, y'all don't, this is hard. There's a learning curve here. I'll do my best to do it quickly. But if I'm not mistaken, Cuba is like 90 miles from Florida, right? So from a political strategy position, geographic location, it would be smart and wise. Y'all got to understand, Trump is thinking ahead. This man plays 4D chess while everybody else is out here playing checkers. If we have threats from Russia and China, right? And Trump is looking at what is near America, 90 miles from Florida. If China and Russia and Iran even tried to strike some deal with Cuba and start selling them oil in exchange for that, Cuba might be like, you know what? You can point a missile at America if you want to, for the right price. So Trump is looking militarily, I'm going to take Cuba. But remember, this is the art of the deal. This is a 2-for-1 special for Trump. Trump is like, first of all, they could have significant investments on that island, but no one's going to invest in Cuba under a communist regime. They've got beautiful landscape, right? But right now they have no money, no oil, no nothing. They ain't got lights. The national grid collapsed, leaving millions without power during an already severe energy crisis. Like the nation's in a blackout right now. Okay? Now, they are feeling the shortages and the pressure from Washington. But at the same time, Donald Trump is like, I would have the honor of taking Cuba. And Cubans want that because they're like, we just want to bring prosperity and hope back to this island. Right? What that looks like is the communist regime of Cuba being taken out once and for all, and true democracy and a leadership that prioritizes the people, not oppresses the people, rises up. Yes, that's going to take time. Absolutely, it's going to take time. Like the Trump administration, Marco was talking with them. They're trying to look for new Cuban leadership. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily rule out the possibility that Cuba could be the next Puerto Rico. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but here's what's crystal clear. There is the possibility that in some way America is going to be intimately tied to the emerging prosperity of Cuba. However, here's what we know. Anything is better than what they're dealing with right now. The Cuba communist model is not working. Okay? And I know that truth. Like the left hates hearing that. They want communism to work so bad. It irritates the socialists and the Marxists and all of the little keyboard comrades who love communism. They don't like admitting that their system of economic governance doesn't work. They don't like hearing that. They will advocate, like Zohran Mamdani, for communistic policies just as long that they don't have to live under it. Have you ever noticed that? As long as they ain't got to live under it, communism is fine. But let me let her finish playing, and then I'm going to come back and provide commentary.
We will see Diaz-Canel leave, we will see political parties form, and we will see a free and fair election in the near future. And I have great hope that my mother will live to see that day and that Cuban Americans will be able to celebrate a return to their homeland.
That's on, Congresswoman. Hakeem Jeffries wants to force a vote to fund Homeland Security.
Okay, they finished talking about Cuba and then started talking about Tamu Obama, Hakeem Jeffries. I saw some people in the chat saying that we don't want Russia near there. Absolutely. That's what this is about. Trump sees that. It is about chess. It is making sure that our enemies don't get close. Our goal is to control the West, period. The whole Western Hemisphere, Cuba. Venezuela is next. Please believe it. Venezuela is absolutely next. So, I mean, we already got Maduro. We're in a little situationship with Iran right now, but I believe we got that under control. And listen, I know to the weak, the spineless Democratic left, they can't understand what Trump is doing right now. This how the big boys run things. This grown men are in the room at the table. They just need to go and sit down somewhere until all of this is over. But communism, as long as you don't have to live up under it, you can romanticize it from afar, right? They will sell revolution to other people. They'll come over here and talk revolution like the black Marxists do and talk about cooperative economics and selling rations to other people. They'll sell these blackouts and repression to other people. But they themselves, they still want to live in their air conditioning with their online banking and their imported coffee and their freedom of speech. Like how they can just get up and talk real reckless and crazy about America. They want that. But all of those things that I talked about, that's how socialism actually works. It's a luxury belief for people who have never had to stand in line for bread. And so you have Cubans who are like, you don't know nothing about this life. Don't tell me what we want. And what jumped out to me in this whole story is the reaction that's coming from the Cuban community. This woman right here and the previous woman who have been advocating. You've got Cuban Americans down in South Florida. They heard Trump's remarks and these people were celebrating. They were happy. They didn't respond with horror. And it's because they understand what American leftists refuse to understand, and that's communist regimes do not reform themselves out of kindness. Okay? People who've lived under those systems, they don't need more lectures from MSNBC. They want freedom. They want to be liberated. That's the disconnect that the left has from reality. The left looks at Cuba and they see an anti-American symbol, but actual Cubans look at Cuba and they see a prison, right? The left sees an ideology that in a theory that they've never lived under, but real Cubans have lived this and they see that reality. And the reality has a way of embarrassing all that propaganda and showing you better than it can tell you. This is not just a foreign policy story. This is a worldview story. We are watching in real time when a nation, what it looks like when they adopt an economic system and a system of governance that's oppressive, and what happens when you end up embracing communism. And communism always promises equality and everybody's going to be happy, but all it delivers misery. Y'all saw them blackouts? Buddy got a flashlight just trying to function because it always centralizes power, which is what Democrats want to do here. Crush dissent, which is what Democrats want to do here. Communism pushes a narrative and an initiative, which is what Democrats do here. And it makes the state God, which the Democrats absolutely believe that the government is God. And then when their leadership fails, as it always does, the true believers, like your Brandon Johnsons and your Zohran Mamdanis, they never blame the ideology. They'll blame the weather. They'll blame America, Trump, capitalism, misinformation. They will blame everything except the rotten doctrine at the core of their failed ideological system. The fruit tells the truth and it sells itself. Cuba is bearing the rotten fruit of a collapsed grid, a broken economy, horrible infrastructure of people that are trapped, stolen their businesses, their livelihoods. A government is begging for survival while still pretending that it has moral authority. This is not some revolutionary
but not
glory.
fund.
That's not what this is. We watched decay, and Christians especially should understand what's going on here. Every totalitarian system, they want what belongs to God alone. They want your allegiance, your obedience, your submission, your fear, your future. Communism is deeper than economics because it is an economic failure, but it's more than that. It is a theological rebellion. It states that the state can replace God's providence and can provide for you in a way that God never designed for the state to provide for you. It crushes a healthy doctrine of work, the ability for you to provide for yourself by the labor and the sweat of your own brow. It replaces the truth with looking to the government to provide for you. The regime decides what the moral order of the day is. And all of that is just a lie from the pit of hell. We're told, Psalm 146, 3-4 says, put not your trust in princes, in a son of man, in whom there is no salvation. When his breath departs, he returns to the earth. On that very day, his plans perish. Y'all, that applies to the communist strongman too. Fidel Castro wasn't a savior. The state is not and cannot be a savior. Every nation that treats the government like a messiah eventually reaps judgment. And that's what we watched happen in Cuba. So my position is very simple. Should Trump take Cuba? I say, go on and take it, pimpin'. I mean, take it. Whatever that means for you. It's right off the coast of Florida. We could do some amazing things if we acquired it, right? Like, I'm glad communism is being exposed. I'm glad the lie is being stripped bare and we can actually see for ourselves what's going on there now. I'm glad that the world is being forced to look at Cuba and confront what socialist decay actually produces. I'm hoping the people in New York are paying attention like, oh, snap. We about to be Cuba. We get to get this Zohran Mamdani out of here. That's what I'm hoping happens. We don't know what Trump actually means by, I can do whatever I want with it. I mean, you kind of got to take him at his word, but it could mean regime change, strategic pressure, literally take it as a U.S. territory. We don't know. We'll see. But nobody should miss is that blackout didn't create the failure. It revealed it. And Trump didn't just, by saying what he said, make communism ugly. Communism did that by itself. And Donald Trump and Marco Rubio, in my opinion, are doing a fantastic job. And I believe that we're going to see the liberation of the Cuban people very soon. So the real scandal here is not that Trump said something wild about Cuba. The real scandal is that even with the lights out over there, the shelves are empty because they ain't got no food. I mean, it's bad, y'all. That there are fools still here in America that are trying to defend the system that caused all of that. And that tells you everything you need to know. Communism can collapse an island and leftists will still try to save the brand. That's the word. That'll preach right there. That's what we're watching. So